Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into, well, a really unique collection of observations, dialogue fragments that give us this surprisingly intimate window into what looks like, a perfect suburban world. Our mission is to carefully piece together these narratives from Wisteria Lane. We want to uncover the hidden complexities, the startling truths that often lie just beneath the surface of everyday life.
Polished veneer.
Exactly. And our source material for this deep dive, it comes from excerpts from S103.txt. And reading it, it feels less like a script and more like, well, like peering directly into someone's most private moments.
It really does. It gives you, the listener, this very unfiltered perspective on human nature.
Yeah.
And what's genuinely captivating about these fragments, I think, is how they seem kind of disparate at first glance. But then they intricately weave together. They form this much deeper tapestry of human experience. We're definitely going beyond just, plot points here.
Right.
We're trying to dig into the why behind people's actions, understanding their underlying fears, their deepest desires, and the often exhausting appearances they struggle so hard to maintain.
Exhausting is a good word for it.
Totally. So this deep dive, it's going to explore these profound themes of secrets, the weight they carry, the intricate dance of relationships, and that universal human search for truth.
And it's all seen through this remarkable and, frankly, pretty mysterious narrative voice, isn't it? It really sets the tone for everything.
It absolutely does. It provides this profound insight into the human condition, even within what looks like such an ordinary, picket fence setting.
Okay, so let's start there. Our journey into Wisteria Lane, it begins with that voice, a voice that immediately sets this poignant, almost philosophical tone. It's reflecting on existence after death, and specifically highlighting the act of shedding everything that was once essential, except for one crucial thing: memory.
Yeah, that's such a hook.
It really draws you in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Challenges our perceptions of what actually endures.
It immediately makes you think, right, what do we choose to carry with us? What becomes disposable? Especially when facing something as, well, as definitive as the ultimate transition. The source opens with this really striking passage. It states, "After I died, I began to surrender the parts of myself that were no longer necessary.
Wow.
My desires, beliefs, ambitions, doubts, every trace of my humanity was discarded."
Discarded.
Yeah. I discovered, when moving through eternity, it helps to travel lightly. In fact, I held on to only one thing: my memory.
Only memory.
It's a truly profound statement. It positions memory not just as like a collection of past events, but as the single most essential component of self.
The core.
The core, exactly. Transcending physical existence.
Right.
It's what shapes us, what defined us, and apparently what persists when everything else is gone. The emphasis is really on the raw, unfiltered record of life.
Not stuff, not achievements.
Not stuff, no. Not even accomplishments. It suggests our experiences and the memories we form from them are the true currency of our being, and this idea of traveling lightly through eternity. It's a fascinating idiom, isn't it?
It is like shedding baggage.
Suggests efficiency, freedom from burden. It makes you think about what we cling to in life that might ultimately be unnecessary baggage. All the clutter.
And what really grabs me about this narrator is, despite their, transcendence, they still hold on to the astonishing memory of the world I left behind. Every single detail.
Every single detail. Imagine that.
Just imagine being able to recall every nuance, every forgotten conversation, every tiny moment. It's almost overwhelming.
It really is.
And the first character brought into sharp focus through this vivid, perfect recall is Bree Van de Kamp.
Bree.
The narrator first remembers the easy confidence of her smile, then the gentle elegance of her hands, the refined warmth of her voice.
Paints a picture, doesn't it? Perfection, composure.
Total composure. A woman who seems to have everything precisely under control. But then there's this stark, almost jarring contrast the narrator immediately focuses on.
Yes.
But what I remember most about Bree was the look of fear in her eyes.
Boom. Right there.
Yeah.
That juxtaposition.
It tells us everything, doesn't it? About the deeper, unsettling truths lurking beneath that polished surface. It's the classic, appearances can be deceiving.
That contrast is absolutely pivotal. And if we think about this psychologically, it suggests that even people who meticulously cultivate this image of control, of perfection, like Bree, they're profoundly susceptible to inner turmoil. The narrator's next observation is quite telling. Bree had started to realize her world was unraveling.
Unraveling, that's a potent word.
It really is. And for a woman who despised loose ends, that was unacceptable.
Okay, despise loose ends. That says a lot about her personality type.
Absolutely. The term unraveling here is this powerful metaphor, right? Something coming apart at the seams, losing its coherence. And for someone who despised loose ends, meaning someone who needs everything neat, tidy, resolved, this isn't just like an inconvenience.
No.
It's a direct threat to her entire sense of self, her identity, her carefully constructed reality. Bree's whole identity seems intrinsically linked to order, predictability, meticulous control.
So if her world unravels...
It's a fundamental challenge to her very existence. This initial depiction, it just brilliantly sets the stage for her story. It portrays her struggles as this desperate, almost pathological attempt to regain control.
to tie up those loose ends again.
Exactly, to retie those metaphorical loose ends and to vigorously maintain that facade of perfection she's worked so hard on. That initial fear in her eyes isn't just fleeting.
No, it feels deeper.
It's a significant crack in that perfect exterior. It hints at the immense internal pressure she's under to keep absolutely everything in its precise intended place. It really highlights the intense conflict between her need for order and the messy, unpredictable realities of life.
So if her world is unraveling, what does that actually look like day to day for Bree? Our deep dive throws us right into it, into the immediate, tangible problems in her seemingly perfect life, starting with her marriage.
Right, the strained marriage.
We get this tense morning exchange between Bree and Rex, an instant sense of their marital discord. Bree, ever the meticulous planner, says, "Rex, you need to get up. It's not even light out."
Control even over sleeping arrangements?
Yeah. If the kids see you sleeping down here, they'll start asking questions. And then the key line, "We're in marriage counseling." That would confuse things.
Infuse things, meaning shatter the illusion.
Exactly. Her concern is explicitly about keeping up appearances for the children. And that idiom, keeping up appearances, it's so central here, isn't it?
Absolutely. It describes that act of maintaining an outward show of prosperity or well-being, even when things are falling apart privately. It highlights her prioritizing how the family is perceived over the messy reality.
And that focus on external presentation, it seems deeply ingrained in Bree.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Her insistence on secrecy around the marriage counseling, it speaks volumes about the societal pressure, maybe particularly in places like Wisteria Lane, to project that image of domestic bliss.
Even when it's totally false.
Even when it's far from the truth. The source shows Rex clearly wanting a private space in those sessions. "There are things I need to discuss with Dr. Goldfein, and I can't have you there."
Which immediately makes you wonder, what are those things?
Exactly. Why can't he discuss them with Bree present? It suggests his issues are deeply personal, maybe even incriminating. He feels unable to express them freely, or maybe even wants to protect her from them. Or himself.
Or himself, yeah. And Bree's response is, well, it's immediate, and frankly, kind of comically suspicious.
It is. She tries to control the therapy itself, instructing the doctor. Oh, and doctor, if what he's about to discuss has anything to do with adultery, prostitution, or internet pornography,
Listing the possibilities.
I would really appreciate you taking a moral hard line. It's not just suspicion, it's an active attempt to dictate the moral parameters of the discussion.
To steer it towards her definitions of marital problems.
Instead of truly uncovering Rex's truth. It's pure assertion of her control, even in a space designed for openness.
And the lengths they go to maintain that illusion. The tennis lessons alibi for Rex's counseling sessions. It's a perfect example.
It really is.
Bree explains, your office may wonder why you disappear 3 times a week. Tennis lessons are a plausible alibi.
Plausible alibi. It's a classic euphemism, isn't it? Using this innocuous, socially acceptable activity to cover up something they see as shameful or disruptive to their image.
It really speaks to that cultural dynamic where appearances often trump reality, especially in these suburban settings where community perception feels, well, paramount.
Absolutely paramount. And the tension here between Rex's apparent genuine desire for help and Bree's overriding need for control, her suspicion. It's palpable.
You can feel it.
He says quite desperately, "Damn it, Bree, a few more sessions isn't going to fix us. This is bigger than that."
That line reveals a lot. It's not just frustration.
No, it shows the profound depth of their crisis. Rex sees it as far beyond the superficial fixes Bree might be looking for. It implies a fundamental brokenness, not just a few loose ends to tie up.
And things escalate, right, from sleeping downstairs.
It's eventually moving out to a motor lodge, which sounds so impersonal, temporary. It underscores the severity.
And Bree's desperate attempt to get info from Dr. Goldfein. If you tell me what he told you, then I could fix the problem.
I can't do that. It's unethical. The doctor's response highlights Bree's fixation on control again.
She thinks if she just has the information, she can somehow fix it, like it's a leaky faucet.
Exactly. It shows her inability to accept that some things, especially deep emotional issues, are genuinely beyond her meticulous management. And then the source subtly hints. The answers Bree eventually finds from Rex's audio tape.
Yeah.
They answer entirely different questions, which implies a much darker, more personal truth she uncovers.
Oh, boy.
One that promises to shatter the remnants of her carefully constructed world even further. It's that classic narrative device, isn't it?
Yeah.
You dig for one answer, and you unearth entirely new, unsettling questions.
Okay, let's shift focus. Moving across the street, we encounter Susan Mayer.
Ah, Susan.
She's navigating those often choppy waters of dating after divorce, and her eye is caught by the new neighbor, Mike Delfino.
The mysterious handyman.
Right. Their first interaction is classic meet cute stuff, that charming first encounter. I'm Mike Delfino. Susan Mayer, I live across the street. Simple. And her friends, being supportive, maybe slightly meddling.
Just a bit.
They encourage her. You're going to have to ask him out, Susan replies. I keep hoping he'll ask me out.
Sets up the potential romance nicely. But
Susan's journey to really embracing this new possibility is, well, it's complicated. She's grappling with a past that just won't stay buried.
indeed, her difficulty moving forward, embracing new connections, it's heavily tied to her unresolved past with her ex-husband, Carl.
Right. The emotions there are still raw.
Palpable. The dialogue with him reveals deep-seated resentment, a sense of betrayal that's still lingering. She tells him directly, I really hate the way you talk to me.
Ouch.
I hate that I spent $15,000 on your diamond necklace, but I'm learning to deal with it. That line. It's not just about the money, is it?
No, it's symbolic.
It represents the perceived betrayal, the investment of her time, emotion, the huge emotional cost of their divorce. It shows how objects can become these powerful symbols of deeper grievances.
Yeah. And she initially wants, what, reconciliation? Resolution?
Or at least some calm. She says, I just don't want to live like that. I don't want to be that kind of person, bitter. I said, if the two of us, if we had a nice, calm...
She craves peace, closure.
Definitely. But the core of her pain and her path to moving on, it hinges on this. I need an apology, Carl.
That's what she needs.
For the way you ended our marriage. You never took responsibility. It speaks to that fundamental human need for accountability.
And Carl's response?
Dismissive. Classic evasion. The heart wants what it wants.
Ugh, that phrase.
Right. It's often used to justify infidelity or impulsive decisions. It basically absolves him of responsibility for his actions. And ironically, it just fuels her anger more.
So no closure there.
Not from him. This interaction really shows how a lack of true accountability can keep old wounds just festering.
Okay, but then there's a moment in Susan's journey that really shifts things for her, right? Forces her to let go of that anger, especially towards Carl.
Yes, a pivotal moment.
It's punctuated by this scene of, well, extreme, almost slapstick humiliation, but it acts as this profound turning point.
It's a shrub incident.
Shrub incident. The source vividly describes her lying naked in her shrubs, locked out of her house, only to be discovered by, who else? Mike Delfino.
The new neighbor she's interested in. Mortifying.
Literal vulnerability. Literally and figuratively stripped bare. And the narrator observes her thought. It occurred to Susan this could be the most humiliating moment of her life. And then adds,
She was wrong.
She was wrong, which adds that touch of dark humor, but also foreshadows. Well, more embarrassments to come on Wisteria Lane. Life always has new surprises.
Always.
But this specific incident, it's crucial for Susan's development. Mike's reaction. He's mostly gentlemanly about it, right?
Mostly. He offers clothes, helps her back inside, despite his admitted peak.
Huh. Right. But that unexpected kindness, respect, discretion, it completely disarms Susan.
It cuts through her anger, her guardedness.
And leads directly to him being invited to the dinner party. I'd love to come if the invite still stands.
It's a great example of how breaking down facades, even accidentally and awkwardly, can lead to genuine connection.
So this utterly humiliating moment actually serves as a catalyst for Susan. It lets her start seeing beyond her past anger, engage with new possibilities.
It's a striking reminder that sometimes our most awkward, vulnerable moments can paradoxically lead to our most significant breakthroughs.
It really is. That blend of discomfort and unexpected connection, it's brilliant storytelling.
Absolutely. Susan's initial mortification is so relatable. Who hasn't wished the ground would just swallow them whole?
Oh, definitely.
But it's Mike's calm, reassuring, ultimately respectful reaction that transforms it, and the narrator's comment, "She was wrong." It's not just humor, it's a subtle nod to the ongoing challenges of life. Our capacity for embarrassment and our ability to overcome it is always evolving.
That's a good point.
And this interaction highlights something interesting culturally, I think. In many Western contexts, maybe especially among people who might otherwise be guarded, accidental vulnerability can surprisingly foster deeper connections.
Because he didn't exploit it.
Exactly. He doesn't exploit her predicament. He offers genuine, respectful help. It immediately establishes him as trustworthy, compassionate in her eyes. It becomes pivotal because it compels Susan to drop that guardedness tied to Carl.
So it's less about the embarrassment.
And more about the transformative power of authentic human interaction to shift perspective and open doors.
Yeah.
A powerful lesson in how shared, uncomfortable moments can lead to unexpected intimacy.
Okay, let's look at Lynette Scavo next. Our deep dive shows her morning routine reflects a very different kind of chaos than Bree's controlled world.
Oh, yes. Domestic battlefield territory.
We immediately see her grappling with the unvarnished realities of family life, specifically the exuberant, often messy presence of her kids. There's that wonderfully relatable moment with the sticky cards.
Yes.
Her child says, "Lynette, these cards are sticky." And Lynette, with this sigh of resignation, replies, "I know. Preston used the 3 of diamonds to scoop jam out of a jar.
Resourceful kid.
We're just thankful we have 49 cards to play with." It instantly paints this vivid picture, right? A household where order is a luxury, perfection is unattainable, and improvisation is, well, it's essential.
Total necessity. It's such a stark contrast to Bree's world of despised loose ends. It shows the diverse forms of unraveling that can happen in suburbia.
It really does.
And this chaotic scene immediately brings up an important question. How do couples negotiate social life, personal needs, when one partner, in this case, Tom, is constantly wiped out from work?
The eternal struggle.
Tom's excuses for not wanting to go to the dinner party are so vivid. They reflect that sheer exhaustion of a demanding career. "I'm wiped out, 3 cities in 6 days. My head is pounding. I'm not ready for a dinner party."
Sounds familiar to many, I bet.
He even tries to romanticize his grueling schedule, portraying himself as this noble, weary hero, says the prince as he rides off into the sunset.
A bit dramatic, maybe.
Just a touch. This dynamic is incredibly common, where work pressures clash with the desire for social connection as a couple.
And Lynette's desire for a night out is clear.
And deeply understandable. I was looking so forward to a night out. For her, it's not just the party. It's a needed escape, adult interaction, a break from the constant demands of motherhood and managing that bustling household.
So the negotiation begins.
And it's humorous and exasperated and highly relatable. Tom suggests, maybe deflecting slightly, "You know your problem. You're very tense. You should go to a spa or go shopping. Find a way to relax."
The classic go relax suggestion, like it's that simple.
Exactly. It kind of frames her stress as her problem to solve, not a shared consequence of their dynamics and his schedule.
Which leads to Lynette's challenge.
Her mic drop moment. "I'm going to go to this one. You can stay home and babysit." Tom replies, "Fine. I can handle that."
But can he?
Well, it's later implied it was a struggle, showcasing that constant push and pull, the negotiation, the compromise inherent in balancing family responsibilities, especially with young kids.
And the aftermath of the party reinforces this too, right? The cookies.
Oh, yeah. Lynette confronts Tom. "We are raising little terrorists. You know that, don't you?" "Okay, drop the act. I know you gave them cookies."
Busted.
It highlights those ongoing, utterly relatable struggles of parenthood, where even tired parents bend the rules, and the kids, in their chaos, often become this force to be reckoned with. It's proof that even seemingly perfect families have their own brand of domestic chaos and hidden compromises.
Okay, now let's turn to Gabrielle Solis. On the surface, she seems to have a much more glamorous life.
Designer clothes and fall collections.
We see her effortlessly studying the fall collections, almost floating above the domestic chaos and marital strife plaguing her neighbors. But beneath that polished exterior, her life is just as fraught. Hidden tensions and pretty unconventional solutions.
Definitely unconventional.
Interestingly, her husband Carlos tries to relax her with advice that echoes Tom's to Lynette. "You're very tense. You should go to a spa or go shopping. Find a way to relax."
It's like the standard husband response on the lane.
Seems like it. But this advice contrasts sharply with Gabrielle's actual relaxation method, which is well, secretive and anything but conventional.
What's truly fascinating about Gabrielle is the almost brazen way she maintains her secrets, relying on this delicate, dangerous web of deception.
Her private sessions?
Right. They are clearly not what Carlos assumes. The dialogue snippet is incredibly revealing about the illicit nature. Are you free at 4? I'm not sure. I've got track after school. Get here as fast as you can.
Urgent.
My husband says I need to relax. And then the kicker. You want me to keep my gym clothes on like last time? If you would, please.
Wow. Okay. That doesn't just imply an affair.
It strongly points to one with a young gardener, revealing a significant power imbalance and a shocking level of disregard for her marriage vows.
It adds this huge layer of tension and risk to her seemingly carefree life, constantly threatening to unravel it, just like Breeze.
Totally. And the source explicitly connects this secret life to her financial disputes, too. Another hidden stressor. We see her arguing with someone named Brandy about child support.
Oh, right. You can afford a cabin, but not child support, Brandy asks. Gabrielle replies, the check is in the mail. Brandy retorts, no, it's not.
Oof. That adds another distinct layer of stress and, frankly, moral ambiguity to Gabrielle. She's not just dealing with desires and infidelity, but also very real, pressing financial and ethical obligations.
It underscores that even glamorous lives can be incredibly complex, burdened by hidden responsibilities.
Absolutely.
So how does Gabrielle deal with the risk of her secret being exposed? We see her audacious response to a potential leak. She tries to bribe a child.
Ashley. It's an eyebrow-raising strategy for sure.
We see her meticulously trying to secure Ashley's silence by buying her this lavish gift. She describes the bike in almost sales pitch detail, showing her manipulative precision. Top of the line, 3-speed, aluminum frame, handlebar ribbons, and a bell.
Covering all the bases.
And it's royal blue to match your pretty little eyes. That level of detail shows her keen understanding of what would make the bribe irresistible to a child, her calculated approach.
Totally calculated.
The moment of truth comes when Gabrielle sees Ashley's drawing. That almost looks like they're kissing.
Oh.
Gabrielle launches into this awkward, almost comical attempt to normalize what Ashley saw, trying desperately to reshape reality for a kid. Funny thing about kissing? It's not just for husbands and wives.
Oh,
Sometimes we kiss our mom or our grandpa. Sometimes we even kiss our dog. Sometimes we even kiss people who are just our friends. Kind of like a high five on the lips, right?
High five on the lips.
It's a master class in trying to explain away the uncomfortable truth. And then Ashley delivers the completely unexpected confession that just upends Gabrielle's entire plan.
The punchline.
I don't know how to ride a bike.
That twist is just, it's brilliant, ironic. It perfectly encapsulates that idea that quick fix solutions often lead to unforeseen complications, sometimes creating a deeper entanglement than the original problem.
Definitely deeper here.
It immediately raises that question, how far will Gabrielle go to keep her secret? The irony is the bribe backfires spectacularly, not by failing to buy silence.
But by creating this ongoing obligation.
Exactly. An obligation she clearly did not anticipate. Instead of a swift resolution, she's now bound to spend time with Ashley, teaching her to ride the very bike meant to buy her discretion.
Oh, the irony.
The narrator's observation, it was in that moment that Gabrielle realized this ride was far from over.
Yeah.
It's so insightful. It suggests this long-term, possibly increasingly uncomfortable connection she didn't bargain for.
It highlights that universal lesson, doesn't it? Attempts to control things through manipulation can paradoxically lead to even greater entanglement, a loss of freedom.
It's a classic case of short-sighted problem solving, leading to far more complex long-term headaches, a common trope in stories and in life. The easiest path often leads to the most complicated destination.
Okay, and then, looming over everything we've discussed, we have the unsettling central story. Mary Alice Young herself.
The catalyst for everything.
Her death hangs like the shadow over the entire neighborhood. It's the central mystery connecting everyone on the lane, subtly or not so subtly. Yeah. We see the lingering grief, the palpable awkwardness around her husband Paul and her son Zach. They're clearly struggling, each in their own way, to cope with her sudden absence.
Zach's reaction is particularly interesting.
Yeah, his concern about the obituary is really poignant. It speaks to that universal need for public acknowledgement of loss. Mrs. Wilmington said she looked for Mom's obituary and couldn't find it.
He's worried about perception too, but in a different way than Bree.
Right. He says, people will think we didn't care. And then to Paul, you never talk about her. She's been dead a month and it's like you've forgotten she existed.
That line powerfully contrasts Zach's deep desire to keep her memory alive, ensure she's remembered publicly, with Paul's apparent suppression of grief, which feels chillingly effective.
It suggests a hidden agenda behind Paul's stoicism.
Definitely. That contrast in how they grieve is fascinating, and it immediately draws us into a disturbing aspect of Mary Alice's death and its aftermath. Paul's approach to Zach's grief, or rather his attempt to suppress it, it feels dark. His giving Zach something to calm his nerves. It immediately implies medication, some form of emotional control, rather than allowing for genuine healthy processing of their loss.
Creates an atmosphere of unease.
Deep unease and suspicion around their household. And then the subsequent shocking discovery of Mary Alice's suicide weapon deepens the mystery further.
Zach finds it
and confronts Paul directly. She used this to kill herself. Why would you keep it? Why? Paul's answer. I thought we might need it someday. Zach asks. For what? Paul replies.
Protection.
Protection. That exchange is incredibly chilling. Paul's rationale isn't just vague. It immediately raises intense questions. What is he protecting? From whom?
It implies hidden danger, a secret so profound he felt the need to keep the very tool of her demise.
Maybe as a morbid reminder. A tool against future threats. A macabre trophy. It hints at a much larger, darker backstory behind her seemingly sudden death, suggesting it wasn't just despair, but possibly linked to something far more sinister.
Something requiring protection.
Exactly. It casts this long shadow over supposedly peaceful Wisteria Lane.
And just when you think you've got a handle on the domestic dramas, the deep dive takes an even darker, more ominous turn. That news report.
Ah, yes, the lake discovery.
A grisly discovery that seems directly linked to Mary Alice's mystery. The report states, with chilling detachment, a grisly discovery was made today when a chest was found in Rockwater Lake by a local businessman and his grandson while they were fishing.
Just found while fishing. So mundane, yet so horrific.
Investigators recovered a wooden chest containing what appear to be human remains. This moment is absolutely pivotal, isn't it? It catapults the narrative beyond individual dramas to a larger, ominous crime.
Definitely raises the stakes.
The implication of this discovery, specifically regarding Mary Alice's backstory and the wider secrets of the lane, it's immediate and profoundly chilling.
It strongly suggests her death wasn't isolated. It was maybe the visible tip of a much larger, deeply buried secret.
A secret that has now literally resurfaced.
Threatening to expose the hidden truths of the whole neighborhood. It throws this long, dark shadow over the seemingly perfect suburban idyll. Reminds us that even the calmest surfaces can conceal the most turbulent depths.
It's a powerful narrative device.
Incredibly powerful. It reminds us all that no matter how meticulously people try to keep up appearances, like we've seen with Bree and Gabrielle, the truth often has this undeniable, relentless momentum.
It finds a way out.
It has a way of rising to the surface, sometimes in the most horrifying, unexpected ways. The stark imagery, the wooden chest, human remains, found by a businessman and his grandson, fishing that visceral contrast between ordinary life and extraordinary horror. Culturally, this resonates deeply, doesn't it? That common, compelling trope of hidden secrets festering within seemingly perfect communities.
The dark underbelly.
Exactly. The idyllic exterior masking something unsettling. This discovery creates profound foreboding and significantly raises the stakes for everyone. Because if Mary Alice has passed, her secrets are catching up in such a public, brutal way.
Whose secrets are next?
Precisely. Whose else's secrets might surface? It's also that classic technique revealing a tantalizing piece of a larger, terrifying puzzle, leaving us anxious, connecting the dots, anticipating the full revelation.
Okay, so bringing many of these simmering tensions to a head. The dinner party.
The pressure cooker.
Intended as a tribute, but it quickly devolves. This unifying event, sparked by Susan as a way to honor Mary Alice and, as she put it, use a fun night, unite the neighborhood in grief and camaraderie.
Good intentions.
The planning started with enthusiasm. How about a month from tonight, the 16th? Good for everyone. And Bree's excitement was particularly palpable. She takes charge. Oh no, this is my party. I've been wanting to have everyone over for years. I'm so happy we're doing it. It's going to be so much fun.
Famous last words. That initial optimistic intent, it just sets the perfect stage for the inevitable explosion. The stark contrast between expectation and reality.
Really?
And it makes you ask, how do social gatherings designed to bring people together sometimes inadvertently expose their deepest cracks? The source lists the guests. 7, 3 couples and Susan. Carlos, Lynette, Gabrielle, Bree, Susan, and Mike as the final invitee. But the initial convivial atmosphere quickly devolves. It becomes this unexpected platform for raw confessions and escalating conflict.
Even the best laid plans
Can go spectacularly awry when underlying tensions are just too great. The major public revelation comes when Bree, maybe in this desperate, unhinged moment of exasperation, announces to everyone,
a counseling.
Bree and I are in marriage counseling. Everyone knows now. Did the sky fall? Has your life come crashing down? It shatters their carefully constructed golden couple facade, exposing their vulnerability.
But then the retaliation from Bree, it escalates things dramatically.
Spectacularly, a moment of pure, unadulterated anger and public humiliation. Rex cries after he ejaculates.
Oof, below the belt.
Completely, deeply personal, deeply humiliating.
Yeah.
A deliberate, cutting blow aimed at his masculinity, his pride. It shows the truly destructive power of a relationship in utter crisis.
And Rex's reaction.
Naturally, he can't bear it. He storms out, leaving behind this stunned silence, this fractured dinner party.
And what's truly fascinating is what happens after Bree's bombshell.
Yes, the floodgates open.
It's like her public humiliation gives everyone else permission to air their own dirty laundry, turns the dinner party into this impromptu true confessions session.
A bizarre form of group therapy.
Susan, ever the open book, bravely confesses her naked lockout, caught by Mike. I locked myself out of my house stark naked and got caught by Mike.
Remarkably vulnerable admission, but it breaks the remaining tension.
It really does. And this act of sharing vulnerability seems to invite others, creates this unique, almost cathartic dynamic.
Right. The other confessions follow. Equally outrageous, delightfully unexpected. Someone confesses getting perp walked down Main Street, USA, from Disneyland.
Perp walked from Disneyland.
For lewd behavior on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. That term, perp walked, usually for criminals, applied to Disneyland. It's hilarious and scandalous, paints this unforgettable picture of public humiliation.
Turning a family fun day into a criminal expose.
And another couple admits to breaking a waterbed in Cancun due to spiked heels, adding that touch of suggestive, risque humor.
It's genuinely fascinating how Bree's moment of profound public shame paradoxically leads to this shared vulnerability and, in a strange way, a deeper, more honest connection among the guests.
Shared embarrassment forging unexpected bonds.
Exactly.
And when we look at these confessions, despite the awkwardness, they offer this profound moment of shared humanity. In a neighborhood so obsessed with projecting perfection, maintaining appearances, these moments of collective vulnerability act as a crucial pressure release valve.
Let's be real for a second.
Lets them see each other, not just as roles, perfect wife, busy executive, but as flawed, relatable individuals with their own challenges.
Yeah.
And despite these lighter moments, the main event, Bree and Rex's drama, leaves a lasting impact.
Definitely.
Lynette's dry, understated description sums it up.
There was dinner, but it wasn't much of a party.
Perfect. Highlights how the emotional upheaval overshadowed any social intention. Completely. And the varied reactions to Bree and Rex's public meltdown are also telling. They reflect different perspectives. Some aren't surprised. Honestly, I'm not that surprised. I just never got the idea that they were really happy.
Suggesting the facade wasn't as convincing as they thought.
Right. Others offer crude or empathetic or critical judgments. I'd probably cry too if I'd have sex with that woman. Or, you watch a man get torn down like that, you wonder why he let her get away with it.
Shows the spectrum of reactions.
Underscores the complex nature of judgment and empathy, and how public spectacles invite such a wide range of interpretations. Everyone has an opinion on your private life, especially when it becomes public fodder.
So the revelations at the party create immediate ripples, forcing characters to confront their realities, maybe seek closure. For Bree and Rex, the fallout is swift.
And severe.
Rex's departure is starkly communicated. No emotional warmth. So where are you going? Bree asks. He says, I'll be staying at the motor lodge. Then adds practical details. The hotel by the interstate has better rates and it's closer to your work.
So pragmatic. Almost clinical. Lacking any emotional warmth you might expect.
And Bree isn't ready to let go of that golden couple image. She makes this desperate, pleading appeal to Rex, clinging to their past. In college, when we first started dating, people were so jealous of us. We were the golden couple.
Living in the past.
Everybody knew we'd have this wonderful life. Why is this happening? It reveals her deep attachment to the ideal of their relationship, her struggle to comprehend its disintegration.
But Rex's answer, it's cutting.
Brutal. It punctures her idealized view. Because you can't even let me pack my own suitcase.
Yeah, that single sentence.
It encapsulates his feeling of suffocation, his lack of agency in the marriage. reveals how Bree's pervasive need for control extended to even the most mundane personal aspects of his life.
ultimately pushing him away. It's a powerful illustration of how those microaggressions of control can just erode a relationship over time. Distills years of tension into one devastating truth.
And this moment for Bree and Rex, it leads us back to Susan's storyline, doesn't it? And that question.
Can genuine apology come from an unexpected source? And can someone find closure even without the direct apology they sought?
Right. Susan's journey towards true forgiveness is really moving here. Despite Carl's dismissive, the heart wants what it wants.
Susan makes a conscious decision. So apology or no apology, I'm moving on.
That's a huge step.
Profoundly significant towards self-liberation. Choosing her own peace over holding on to bitterness. It's an act of self-care.
And then the surprising moment, Brandy's apology.
The unexpected twist. Brandy, Carl's former mistress, approaches Susan. I just wanted you to know what happened between me and Carl. Things got out of hand because I thought your marriage was over.
Takes responsibility in a way.
Anyway, I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, I really am, Susan replies. Thank you.
Simple but meaningful.
And what's truly fascinating is the narrator's observation. Susan finally got the apology she'd always wanted, but crucially,
It came from an unexpected source.
exactly, highlighting that powerful truth. Healing and closure often emerge from unpredictable directions. Sometimes peace arrives not from getting precisely what you thought you needed or from whom you expected it.
But from receiving grace or understanding from an unforeseen quarter.
It teaches us that forgiveness is often internal, an active choice, independent of others' actions. And genuine healing can spring from the most surprising, unlikely interactions. A crucial concept. We don't always control the source of our healing, but we control our capacity for it.
That's beautifully put. So as the sun sets on Wisteria Lane and on our deep dive, we return to the wisdom of our narrator. Those final reflections tie together so many themes we've explored. The narrator's ultimate realization, seen through the lens of eternity. It's simple, yet profound. Yes, I remember the world, every detail.
Holding on to that memory.
And what I remember most is how afraid I was. What a waste. You see, to live in fear is not to live at all. That's a powerful statement. Suggests that while memory is worth holding on to, the pervasive fear that accompanied life, fear of judgment, fear of revealing oneself, fear of losing control, was ultimately a crushing burden.
A waste. Preventing true, authentic living. It's a stark message from beyond.
Yeah.
And when we connect this realization to the broader picture of Wisteria Lane, it becomes incredibly resonant. This isn't just about the obvious, dramatic fears. It's the subtle, insidious ones plaguing daily life.
The fear of judgment from neighbors.
Fear of losing control. Fear of authentic vulnerability. Fear of what others might discover. It speaks directly to that immense burden of keeping up appearances we saw in Bree's rigidity, Gabrielle's secrets, even Susan's initial struggles. The narrator then laments, I wish I could tell this to those I left behind. But would it do any good? Probably not.
A bit cynical, perhaps? Realistic.
Poignant, maybe cynical recognition of human nature's resistance to change, even when faced with hard-won wisdom. Acknowledges how deeply ingrained our fears, our defenses can become.
And the final observation.
That final dichotomous observation perfectly encapsulates the human condition. A framework for understanding not just these characters, but maybe ourselves too. I understand now. There will always be those who face their fears.
Damn.
And there will always be those who run away. That distinction, confronting anxieties versus retreating, provides this stark, essential truth about courage, avoidance, the paths we ultimately choose. A deep reflection on agency, self-confrontation.
So what does this deep dive into these intimate glimpses of Wisteria Lane mean for you, our listener?
Well, it serves as this powerful reminder, doesn't it? Appearances, no matter how carefully crafted, can be incredibly deceiving. Every single person, no matter how perfect their lawn, idyllic their marriage, how impeccable their demeanor, is grappling with their own complex set of challenges, secrets, internal struggles.
We've seen these characters in their moments of crisis and vulnerability embark on often uncomfortable journeys of self-discovery, confrontation, Bree struggling to relinquish control, Susan learning to let go of anger, Lynette navigating domestic chaos, Gabrielle scrambling to keep her world from crumbling.
Each story reveals that rich, often messy, tapestry of human experience behind every closed door. In every neighborhood. And this leads us to a really important question for personal reflection, I think. When you look at your own life and the lives of those around you, How much do you truly know about what lies beneath the surface?
Tough question.
And how much of what we choose to reveal, or maybe more often to conceal, is driven by fear versus a genuine desire for authentic connection?
Yeah.
Consider this for a moment. In what ways are you, or perhaps those, actively keeping up appearances? And what might be the unseen cost of that hidden struggle? Not just for ourselves, but for the very fabric of our relationship.
What freedoms might be gained?
Exactly. What freedoms might be gained if we were just a little less afraid to drop the mask? Something to think about.